What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to give my honest opinions on the Samurai Predator in the new Predator, obviously, Hunting Grounds DLC. Came out just yesterday. We live streamed it. I played it as much as I could yesterday, and I have some thoughts on this Predator. Now, I'm going to be continuing the Predator Hunting Grounds coverage of the next video. I'll actually be predicting what we'll get in the July DLC. I know we just got the late June one, but I want to talk about July next. So, all right, let's get into the Samurai Predator. The first thing I do want to talk about is the price, because you guys probably know, obviously you've seen other videos of mine. I have had issues with the pricing of Predator, of what they've planned to do with the DLC ever since they announced the roadmap. What I'll say is I was honestly surprised again in a good way, which over the last little while I have been surprised in a good way with Predator, in that it was only $5. And now this is obviously a U.S. currency, but $5 for the Samurai Predator. Now I know we don't agree on the pricing for Dutch, but let me tell you, I was going into this Samurai DLC expecting it to be $7. So why do we get to play as an entirely new class that is very different, that has its own weapon, that we can look at, we can visually see, everybody else sees? Why do we have to only pay $5 when Dutch was $7, when we can't even see him? I mean, obviously we were paying literally for Arnold's voice, which just actually further makes me mad about that DLC, but we're not talking about that DLC. But honestly, no, the price was a very, very good thing. I was very impressed with the fact that it was only $5. $5, 5 and 7, I get they're not the biggest difference in the world, but I was happy with that. The look, I love how the Samurai Predator looks. I really do. I mean, what they've done with the Alpha skin, what they did with the Elder Predator, which I still don't have. I'm not even remotely close. I've seen other people obviously get him, and you can see it in the menu for Predator, but the Elder Predator looks awesome, and so they're on a roll with the Predators. The Samurai Predator looks extremely, extremely cool. A very thin, a little bit taller, very much like a samurai. Love the armor, love how it looks. So got no problems with the visual aspect of it at all. Everything's good there. In terms of the gameplay, here's the deal. Okay, here's the deal. This is probably going to be more or less talking about the game again, the actual base game. I like what we get. I like, it's faster. It's got a little bit more health. I feel like it runs out of stamina, or maybe not even stamina. The amount of when you can use your infrared and cloak yourself, I feel like that eliminates itself very, very quickly. Like that drains very, very fast. But overall, I feel like this is one of the stronger. Like if you look at the stats compared to the other ones, this one is it's right up there. It matches a lot of the other ones. So basically, what I'm saying is it's not at the biggest disadvantage. What I will say is this, though. Okay, it depends, obviously, on how you play these games. I obviously have gotten into the Berserker mode, where I'm more of I run in and I try and eliminate one or two. I get out, I go back. I have the perk that gives you the extra health kit. It definitely depends on how you play. There's no doubt about it. But what I will say is, considering the Samurai Predator comes with the katana, the sword, I feel the need to use the sword. I feel like anybody, really, I mean, I don't really think there's any arguing that. If it comes with it, and now you can use it for any of them, but if it comes with it, you're going to want to use it. I honestly feel like, again, it highlights the really big negatives of the actual gameplay, where the Predator, it says in the stats that it technically has more health than actually a lot of them. Only, I believe, the Berserker has more health than the Samurai Predator, but it feels like I just get I only have played, at the time I'm recording this, I haven't played the most in the world. The loading times are literally, you've heard me complain about them before. This isn't even right. It took me around 16 minutes to get into a match. In fact, my average wait time was around 15 minutes. That is absolute. Let me tell you something, Ilphonic. That's pathetic. Now, I get it, because everybody's playing as the Predator, but actually, again, just highlights how bad other parts of the game are, in that nobody in their right mind would want to be the fire team. And so, obviously, everybody's trying to play as the Predator, and you have to wait 15 to 20 minutes to get into a match. So, again, that is a huge, in my opinion, that's a huge negative, because you can barely even play as this new samurai. And then when you get into it, again, I want to use the sword. I just get lit up. I get lit up by the fire team in terms of bullets. Now, I have the perk that makes you take even less damage from it, which is very scary, because if I didn't have that perk, then what would happen to me? But no, honestly, the sword, I love the animation. I love how it kind of starts slow and then he speeds up. But they're very in terms of an actual samurai, in terms of swinging a sword, which I actually do have a sword. I've done martial arts. I've done sword work in martial arts before. I love it. I love actually seeing. That's why I'm actually a big fan of Ghost of Tsushima. I like the kind of dynamic of trying to do realism with sword gameplay. This, I feel, obviously it's not very realistic, but no, I like the swing of the sword. I don't think it's powerful enough. I found having to hit enemies way too, and in terms of AI even took quite a few hits with the sword, and then the fire, or the actual like a fire team, definitely you have to really work to be able to knock them down with the sword. It's not impossible, obviously, if you catch them off guard, but it takes, I would say, like 7 to 10 hits to take out a fire team, which, you know, I guess compared to like the combi stick or anything else that other people use, or any other like weapons, like when you have to get up close and personal, I guess it's around the same. I don't know. I just really feel like maybe it's because I'm so used to playing it a certain way that now I have to play it a different way. Like I actually do like the bow, but I stopped using it. I used it early on. I actually got pretty good at aiming with it, but then I stopped once I got the Berserker because it really just didn't work with the play style. But now I feel like with the Samurai Predator, you have to go back to the more literally hunting. Now again, I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be people saying like, oh, well, you just weren't playing the game right. I mean, everybody's got different play styles, and again, you're gonna have a different play style for each class. My biggest gripe with this Predator is the sword doesn't feel powerful enough. I mean, you really get lit. If you get lit up with bullets, you're gonna lose a lot of your health, and it has to go back to the more fundamental, again, hunting approach of this game, which again, after not having done it for so long, I feel like I'm not having fun with it, mainly because the gameplay is still pretty darn messy. Also, I don't know what the patch, obviously there was like a patch that went along with it. I don't know what it did, but I still feel, in fact, I actually feel in worse ways, that it made the game even worse. Again, jumping with trees, the clipping, when I'm trying to leap, the leap just still absolutely does not work. So there's still really big problems with this game that hamper the DLC overall, but you know, again, I mean, half this video is me kind of praising it, half is me, you know, being kind of angry at it. I like it. I like this DLC. I know I'm complaining a lot. At the end of the day, I spent $5. I mean, I gave them money. For all those that are saying, oh my god, how can you expect free DLC even though we didn't just give them $40 to buy the game? You know, now I'm giving them more. I've already given them $12 extra for a voice and now an actual Predator. So I feel like I'm doing my job keeping this game around. I'm giving them plenty of money. I don't know what else I could possibly be doing. But no, in all honesty, I do like this Predator. I think it's definitely moving in the right, area. I think it's going to be a learning curve. I think people that are going to play as it, especially like people that have gotten used to Berserkers and stuff, for people that are just kind of, well, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, one-dimensional with their playstyle, which I am. I try to do different things, but then you kind of settle in, right? You settle in on, oh, this kind of style works for this build, the kind of gear I have, the perks I'm using, the Predator class I'm using, this approach works, and now all of a sudden I have to use something else because I'm trying to try out like a new Predator. You know what I mean? So there are obviously going to be learning curves. Again, though, I'll say this to kind of close it out. The best part of this DLC is the fact that I do think this will overall help the game going forward. Is it going to massively help? Is it, again, addressing the biggest concerns I have with this game? No. And in fact, again, it actually highlights the weaknesses in a negative way. It highlights the weaknesses of this game. But I do think having a new Predator class, being able to play as it, being able to play against it going forward, it is going to change up how people are going to play. I think it should improve the experience overall as we go forward. Again, though, it doesn't address the maps. It doesn't address the lack of modes, the lack of content in general, the fire team just not being really fun to play anymore. You know what I mean? It doesn't really address those things. And again, it only highlights, I feel like with this Predator, you're trying to climb up trees more often, which I haven't done that in a while. I actually normally am on the ground a lot with the Berserker, and then I'll stand still, so obviously they can't see you, or I'll like crouch. I'm not in the trees all that much because another reason is because the tree mechanics are awful, and I've always thought that, right? The tree mechanics are awful, but I stopped doing it for so long, I forgot about it. But now I'm up there, I'm climbing trees, I'm going from tree limb to tree limb, and it's terrible. The game is broken in a lot of ways. Again, the leaping stuff, with the Berserker, yeah, I'll leap a couple times, but I'm, again, really up close to them. With the Samurai, I'm trying to get to different vantage points so I can use the bow to weaken them, and then maybe use the katana after, you know what I mean? Like, try and weaken them first, then get in there and use the katana, and so I'm jumping around, but then the leap doesn't work because it never has worked, and it's frustrating. A lot of the around, again, the game around the actual like mechanics that we're talking about are broken. They're really, really broken. And so I do like the Samurai Predator. I am glad I spent the $5. I don't regret spending it. I hope to be able to play this game more over the next couple weeks, couple months now that there is. And I really do think this is going to allow people to change their play style and and kind of evolve a little bit. So I do think this does have its positives. Just please, for the love of God, and we'll talk about this in the next video. All right, we've gotten a little bit of extra meats. We got a new fire team member with Arnold, with Dutch. We've got the new Predator now. Actually, we've gotten several new Predators. Okay, we got that. Now let's fix the game. Now let's add some actual meat. Let's add some maps. Let's add some, let's really start to improve this. Will they do it? I have a funny feeling they won't, but we'll talk about that in the next video. So guys, let me know in the comments below. Did you buy the Samurai Predator? What'd you think about him? Do you have to change your play style? Do you think there's still things broken in this game? All those things, let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Have the bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And like I said, I'm not done. I know I haven't made a lot of Predator videos. I understand that. I get if people have left the community, totally understandable. With that being said, as long as this game is still getting updates, I still will cover it. So again, we'll predict the July DLC in a few days. I'll be reacting when the July DLC actually gets announced. I'll be playing the July DLC. So I'm still going to do that for as long as these and we know that July and August at least there'll be DLC. After that, will there be DLC? I think there will. I just don't think it will be as consistent. But we'll talk about that all in the future, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.